When I go on camps with the kids, I ask them to be as quiet as possible, and then I would drop a pin and ask them whether they could hear it. And then I would read for them from Kings 19. You remember that Elijah challenged the Baal prophets, and they prayed to Baal for this offering that they had, and Elijah came and they threw water around his offering, and they prayed only once for God to send fire from heaven. Everything burned, even the water was gone afterwards. The people grabbed the Baal priests, they killed them, and because of that, Jezebel, the queen at that stage, she wanted to kill Elijah, so he flee into the desert. Then we come to this beautiful passage where he's hiding there in a cave, and God asks him to come and stand at the mouth of the cave. We read the following, 1 Kings 19, verse 11 and 12. The Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. If I think of quiet time, being in nature, being alone, and then that soft whisper of God, that's what it is about for me. Jesus himself loved quiet time. He unfortunately didn't get much time for it. You remember that John the Baptist died here in Mark 6, verse 30. The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." But unfortunately, as we know, they went over with the little boat, and when they came there, the people had followed them. And came that whole wonderful piece of where there wasn't enough food for everybody, and Jesus just multiplied the fish and the bread, and everybody ate. Afterwards, because I suppose by then they were really dead tired, we read here in Mark 6, verse 45, immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to Bethsaida, while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountain to pray. Even for Jesus, it was really a natural thing and important to him to have some quiet time. Every single time he got the chance, and it doesn't seem that he had many chances for that, but it was important for him. So I think it's a really natural thing for us to want to have some quiet time. And I want to talk about, from our side, giving God a chance to spend some quality time with us. I've told you that my dad, unfortunately, his dad died when he was 1.5 years old. Because of that, he had a lot of anger issues and stuff. He really tried building a relationship with me and my siblings, and he put in a lot of effort. Every single holiday, he would take off from work and he would spend quality time with us. But then when I got a little bit older, I realized that he's putting a lot of effort into this relationship, and I myself can also put effort back. There's some things that I can do to improve our relationship. And I remember one thing specifically. I'm a touch person. I loved hugs. Because I am the youngest in the family, I think everybody treated me differently also. So I always gave everybody lots of hugs. Every single person except my dad. When I was at university, God started to challenge me on this, and I prepared myself during the week while I was at varsity. I would prepare myself and say, okay, Sunday evening when I go back, just before we get into the car and I say goodbye to him, I would hug him. So I would work myself up the whole weekend while I'm at home, and then he would walk outside with me to the car, and I'm all worked up and everything, and then when it comes to that point, I wasn't able to do it. The whole way back to university, I would just be so angry with myself and know that there's a whole week going to pass now before I'm going to have the chance to do it again. It went on for about 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know, even perhaps longer. And one evening, there was just enough courage. I hugged him and he hugged me back. That just put our relationship on a next level. So what I want to talk about, realizing God has done so much for me since before I was born. He took the first step in building this relationship. But I realized that there's some stuff that I can do from my side to build this relationship. For me, hearing God while I'm having my quiet time is of utmost importance. It is okay to speak to God, and I love talking to Him, and I love talking to Him about everything. But for me, it is important for Him to talk back. One of the best verses that broke this open for me to understand something about really hearing God while I'm having quiet time, in Psalm 1 from verse 1. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. On his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers. Something open for me to understand how I can hear God when I start meditating on His Word, while I'm thinking about His Word. So that word, think about this Bible, think about the stuff that's inside. That was a huge thing for me in understanding how I could hear God. Just look at Proverbs 2 verse 2. It's from verse 1. It's, my son, if you accept my words and store up my commandments within you, turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding, and if you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, and if you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, and from His mouth come knowledge and understanding. Let's just break this open. Turning my ear. So while I'm reading the Bible and I'm thinking about it, I'm really trying to hear, what is this? Turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understand. I apply myself and I think about this. What does this mean? And if you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, and this is really what I do, I cry out to God. I says to Him, God, what does this mean? And I would walk up and down. You will see that I really sit still, because I'm one of those people that think better while I'm moving. I would do that. I would walk around and really cry out to God. And then I would say, Lord, but what does this mean? And apply myself, thinking exactly what this verse says. Turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understand. And if you call out for insight and cry out loud for understanding, and if you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. And this is how it happens. Then the Holy Spirit just uses everything, the stuff that you thought about, and it pops back in, and then you think about it again and apply yourself, and then you understand a little bit of it, and then you cry out to God again and says, yes, 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 that makes sense, but what about this? I remember it was my first job, and I was working there close to the sea, and I had the keys of the office. I would drive there very early in the morning to miss the traffic. I would drive to the sea, and then I would read my Bible, have some tea, and just talk out loud to God. Sometimes I would get out of the car and just go and walk on the beach or on the rocks there and talk out loud to God. And then something at that stage in my life happened. I was about 23, around about there. I would walk along the sea, and then God just started to open the Bible for me, verses that I didn't necessarily understood. He started to link different passages to one another, and I started to see the bigger picture of the Bible. And I remember sometimes I would turn and I would run to the car, open the door as fast as possible, and grab a piece of paper and just start writing. I still have a stack of papers in my room with this original writings of me, where God just started to open these things, showing the bigger lines in the Bible and how the bigger Bible makes sense. Quiet time came about thinking about the Bible. When I read the Bible and I think about it, I believe that the Holy Spirit gets the chance to give this wisdom that the Bible talks about, to give God's wisdom for me. What happens, it's not just stuff that stays in your mind, it actually goes into your heart. It's really start to change your life. If you think about the Bible in this way, it's not just the knowledge that stays in your mind, but something starts to happen within. The amount of love that you live towards other people becomes more and more. Stuff that you've struggled before, you realize God have changed you from within, and you struggle a little bit less with what you've struggled before. You become a better person. You really become a person much more full of love. So it's not just about hearing God, but when you think about the Bible in this way, it's really a miracle that happens. While having this type of quiet time, your life becomes more full of love. All of us are different. So I think it's important to realize that the way that I do it is not necessarily the way that you're going to do it. That's the whole thing, finding your own personal relationship with God, your own way of how you build this relationship. I always think about this, that me and my middle brother's relationship is very different from him and my sister's relationship, or him and my older brother's relationship, just because he's different, because I'm different. Just remember that because you are your own person, you will have your own relationship with God, and you don't need to do it the same way that other people do it. Start to explore how you can spend time with God for a really practical way. When you read the Bible and you want to think about it, you can just ask yourself a very simple, basic question. Just ask yourself, what is the reason why God put this specific passage in the Bible? Because there's a reason for every single one of these passages. And I've been astonished by some of these passages that for many years I've read, and I thought to myself, this is really silly, this is really boring, what's the use of this? And then one day God cracks it open to me, and it becomes one of my favorite passages, and it teaches me so much. If you want to go a little bit further, you can ask yourself, perhaps it teaches us something about people in general. So you can think that also. You can read the passage and just think about it. Does this teach me something about people? Or you can make it a bit more personal. You can say, does it teach me something about myself? Or you can ask yourself, does it teach me something about God? Perhaps something about his personality, how he thinks of me, or whatever. And then you can put all of this together by giving this final thought. So what is the real reason for this passage? And you will in any case find that sometimes you read the same passage and you think about it in this way, and you would say, oh, so this is the reason why God put it in the Bible. And then a couple of weeks or years or whatever later, you read the same passage again, you think about it again, and then you find, oh, but that's the reason. And that's the great thing about the Bible, is it's a living thing, because you don't just read the words. The Holy Spirit is within you, and it's the Holy Spirit that breaks it open and gives you the wisdom. Just become very practical with this book and apply yourself in whatever way. Really start thinking about this Bible and call out to God, cry out to him to give you the wisdom and understanding of this book, and it will change your life.